I knew something was seriously wrong when I walked into the break room and found my coffee mug shattered in the trash can. Not just broken, minus deliberately smashed into pieces and stuffed down like someone was trying to bury evidence. That mug had been with me for 15 years, survived 3 office moves, the CEOs, and 1 small kitchen fire. But apparently it couldn't survive Kevin Walsh. The name's Jason Reynolds, by the way. 49 years old, been running operations at this company for 21 years. Started here right after I got out of the Army Corps of Engineers. Thought I'd seen every type of leadership failure in my military days, but corporate America had some surprises waiting for me. Kevin was the new chief people officer, fresh from some consulting firm with his MBA and his mission to optimize human capital expenditure. Guy talked like he learned business from a PowerPoint deck. Called guys like me legacy workforce like we were outdated equipment that needed replacing. He'd been here 6 months and already had 3 senior people transition to new opportunities minus corporate speak for getting shown the door. Let me tell you something about legacy workforce minus we're the ones who actually know how things work. While Kevin was busy redesigning our org chart with colored boxes and efficiency metrics, I was the guy keeping the lights on. Vendor contracts, system maintenance, compliance protocols, crisis management, not flashy stuff, but the kind of work that keeps a company from collapsing when Murphy's Law kicks in. The thing about Kevin was he didn't just want to cut costs minus, he wanted to make a name for himself. Young hotshot bringing modern people management to a stodgy old company. Problem was, he confused activity with achievement. Lots of meetings about synergy and optimization. Not much understanding of how the actual work got done. I'd been watching his pattern for months. He'd start by isolating his targets minus move their parking spots, exclude them from meetings they'd attended for years, redirect their responsibilities through junior staff. Classic squeeze play. Make the old guys uncomfortable enough to quit on their own, save on severance packages and avoid messy terminations. My turn started small. 20-1 years in the same parking spot. Suddenly I'm getting emails about dynamic space allocation and how my spot was needed for visiting stakeholders. Got moved to the back lot next to the dumpsters. Real subtle. Then came the meeting invitations. Started getting forgotten on email chains for projects I'd been running since before Kevin learned to spell MBA. System maintenance meetings happening without the guy who built half the systems. Vendor reviews without the person who negotiated the contracts. Kevin's favorite move was routing my approvals through junior staff. Purchase orders that used to cross my desk worse, utterly going through kids barely out of college who couldn't tell the difference between operational expenses and capital expenditures. Watch them approve a $50,000 software license renewal without realizing the vendor had doubled their rates from the previous year. But I'm not the quitting type. 20-3 years in the Army teaches you patience. You learn to watch, wait, and plan 3 moves ahead. Kevin thought he was playing checkers, moving pieces around the board to clear space. I was playing chess, thinking about endgame scenarios he couldn't even see. The breaking point came when Kevin called an all-hands meeting to announce his workforce 2.0 initiative. Stood up there with his laser pointer and his slides full of buzzwords, talking about sizing legacy positions and optimizing our talent pipeline for future facing growth. He had charts showing productivity metrics and cost per employee ratios. Real numbers that looked impressive until you realized they didn't account for institutional knowledge, client relationships, or the fact that some of us had been preventing problems for so long that nobody remembered what those problems looked like. During the QA, some brave so asked about severance packages for the optimized positions. Kevin's response was pure corporate doublespeak about supporting transitional periods and maintaining positive alumni relationships. Translation: don't expect us to admit we're pushing you out. That's when I knew he was coming for me next. Had that look in his eyes when he talked about streamlining operations like he was already spending the money he'd save on my salary. After the meeting, I went back to my office and did something I'd been putting off for months. Pulled out my original employment contract from 2002, the real one, signed with an actual pen back when this company was small enough that everybody knew everybody's name. Back when they cared more about keeping good people than impressing venture capitalists. I'd kept a physical copy in my desk drawer all these years, along with digital backups in 3 different locations. Call it military paranoia, but I'd learned early to document everything and prepare for worst minus case scenarios. The contract was 23 pages of legal language, most of it standard boilerplate about duties and responsibilities. But tucked away on page 17 was something special minus a clause I'd fought for during the original negotiations. The junior attorney handling my paperwork had said it was excessive back then. Nobody gets terminated after 15 years without cause, he'd argued. This kind of protection is unprecedented. I just smiled and said, good. Then it won't cost you anything to put it in writing. The clause was simple and devastating. In the event of involuntary termination after 15 years of continuous service, all unvested equity shall accelerate immediately at current market value. I'd been here 21 years. The company's stock had gone from startup gamble to market darling over the past decade. When I started, shares were worth maybe 50 cents each. Last I checked, they were trading at $847 per share. Most of my equity was still unvested by design minus a retention mechanism that was supposed to keep people like me loyal and motivated. Until now. The math was beautiful in its simplicity. 12,000 shares at current market value. That's $10.20 million. Give or take a few $100,000 depending on daily fluctuations. More money than Kevin made in 5 years, triggered by his own arrogance and failure to read the fine print. The end came on a Tuesday morning. Got a calendar invite at 9:15. I am with a smiley face emoji that made my teeth hurt. Quick touch base minus 15 mins. The kind of corporate speak that makes your blood pressure spike. Subject line might as well have been your execution is scheduled for this afternoon. I walked into that sterile conference room to find Kevin sitting there with his performance cardboard box on the table and a single sheet of paper face down. Guy even had the nerve to look sympathetic, like he was doing me a favor. Just stood there unwaited for him to say his piece. In the Army, we learned that when someone's about to deliver bad news, they'll fill silence with justification. Better to let them hang themselves with their own words. Jason, he started, using that condescending tone people use with children and employees they're about to discard. We're making some strategic adjustments to align with our future minus-facing operational priorities. Unfortunately, your position is being eliminated as part of our workforce optimization initiative. We want younger and cheaper, and you're in the way of my promotion. He slid the paper across like he was dealing a poker hand he knew would ruin me. Standard termination letter, probably downloaded from some HR template site. Generic language about restructuring and regret to inform you. Severance details buried in fine print that assumed I'd be grateful for whatever scraps they offered. Effective immediately, Kevin continued, gaining confidence as he delivered his rehearsed speech. We'll need your access credentials and any company property. The boxes for your personal items. I looked at that paper for exactly 10 seconds, long enough to let the silence stretch in comfortably. Then I asked the only question that mattered, is this final? Kevin leaned back in his chair with this smug little smile, like a cat who just cornered a mouse. Very final. That was the moment. The one they'd all remember later when the lawyers started asking questions. How I didn't argue, didn't plead, didn't show any emotion at all. Just picked up that empty cardboard box, left the termination letter on the table where he'd placed it, and walked out without saying another word. But here's the thing about silence minus, sometimes it sounds like a countdown timer to people who know what's coming. The walk through the office was like a funeral procession in reverse. People noticed. Heads popping up over cubicle walls like prairie dogs. Conversation stopping mid-minus sentence. A few folks started to stand like they wanted to say something, then thought better of it. No point getting caught in the blast radius when the bomb goes off. Aaron from IT caught my eye and mouthed, what the hell? I just shook my head slightly. Michelle from accounting looked like she wanted to cry. Shane from facilities was already reaching for his phone, probably to text his wife that the rumors were true. I took the elevator down to the parking lot, set the empty box on my passenger seat, and sat there for exactly 30 seconds. Long enough to let the moment settle. Not long enough to second minus guess what came next. Then I pulled out my phone and opened the cloud storage folder I'd maintained for years. File name, Emergency protocols. Inside was every document that mattered minus my original contract, performance reviews, email archives, and one very specific PDF that was about to change Kevin's entire career trajectory. I composed a quick email to Brian Martinez, my lawyer. We'd served together in the Army before he went to law school and I went corporate. Guy who'd helped me negotiate that original contract back when nobody thought equity acceleration clauses mattered. Subject line contract clause activation minus urgent review needed. Body text. Brian. Terminated this morning at 9:15 I am without cause. Kevin Walsh. Chief People Officer. Executed termination. Please review attached original employment contract. Page 17. Clause 23-B. Advise immediate next steps. This is not a drill. Attach the contract file and hit send before I could overthink it. Sometimes you have to pull the trigger and trust your preparation. My phone buzzed with a response in exactly 7 minutes. Brian's legal mind working at light speed, probably already seeing the implications. Holy hell, Jason. They just triggered a $10.20 million payout. This is either the stupidest termination in corporate history or Kevin Walsh has no idea what he just did. Either way, they're about to have a very expensive learning experience. His follow-up email was a masterpiece of legal precision. Professional tone, devastating content, copied to everyone who mattered. The general counsel, the CFO, the board secretary, even the audit committee chair. Clean, corporate language that basically said your chief people officer just costs you more money than he'll make in his entire career. Have a nice day. The subject line was Poetry Ray Jason Reynolds termination minus immediate equity acceleration triggered per original employment agreement. I forwarded that email to my personal account and sat back to watch the fireworks begin. In my rearview mirror, I could see people moving around inside the building through the glass windows. Probably had no idea that their Tuesday morning was about to become the most expensive mistake in company history. My phone started ringing before I'd even left the parking lot. Ryan Foster, the CFO, guy who probably hadn't spoken to me more than twice and for years, suddenly very interested in having a conversation. I could picture him in his corner office, frantically clicking through spreadsheets and watching his quarterly projections turn blood red. Jason, he said when I answered, and I could hear the panic bleeding through his corporate voice like water through a cracked dam. About that email from your attorney. What about it? I kept my tone flat, professional. No emotion, just facts. This equity acceleration clause minus we weren't aware of this provision when we processed your termination. That's an internal issue, I said. Sounds like somebody didn't do their homework. Dead silence. I could practically hear him frantically searching through digital files, probably calling assistants to pull archival documents. The kind of scrambling that happens when someone realizes they've made a very expensive mistake. We need to discuss options, he tried, voice getting desperate around the edges. Maybe we can work something out. Find a mutually beneficial solution. I hung up without saying goodbye. Didn't tow them words anymore. Within an hour, my LinkedIn profile views spiked like a rocket launch. Internal Slack channels were buzzing with my name minus. I know because half the company still had me on notification lists they'd forgotten to remove. Someone in compliance was trying to verify if I'd signed any updated agreements since 2002. I hadn't. On purpose. The text started rolling in like a digital avalanche. Aaron from IT, dude, they fired you? What the hell is Kevin thinking? Michelle from accounting just heard what happened. Can't believe they cut you loose like that. Shane from facilities saw Evan sprint past my office like his hair was on fire. That about you? Even got messages from people I barely knew. Junior analysts asking if the rumors were true. Vendors wondering if their contacts were still valid. A few competitors casually checking if I might be exploring new opportunities. I turned off notifications and drove home. Made myself a ham sandwich, sat at my kitchen table, and watched the email chain grow like a digital wildfire spreading through dry corporate timber. Legal was trying to claim the clause was outdated, superseded by subsequent policy changes. My lawyer Brianne responded with case law precedents and a notarized copy of my signature page. HR was scrambling to find some loophole. arguing that the clause only applied to cause terminations. Brianne attached the termination letter Kevin had handed me, highlighting the phrase positional emanation minus textbook definition of termination without cause. The best part was watching them try to argue that my equity acceleration somehow violated current company policy. Brian's response was surgical company policy cannot retroactively modify executed contracts. Mr. Reynolds' agreement was negotiated in good faith and remains legally binding. Kevin had gone completely radio silent. No more Slack updates about workforce optimization. No more team meetings about strategic initiatives. Word through the grapevine was he'd been locked in conference rooms with legal all afternoon, getting educated about the difference between theory and practice. By Thursday morning, the dominoes were falling in ways they hadn't anticipated. Started with a payment processing error minus vendor invoices bouncing back because the approval tokens I'd maintained for 3 years had expired overnight. These weren't simple passwords. They were encrypted authentication codes built into our procurement system that I'd manually updated every quarter. Aaron from IT texted me around 10 a.m. Half our vendor integrations are down. The tokens you maintained expired. Nobody knows the regeneration protocol. I didn't respond. Not my circus anymore. Then came the client escalations. Our biggest account, a manufacturing company we'd serviced for 8 years, couldn't access their quarterly compliance reports. Those reports lived in a system I'd built and maintained personally, with security protocols I designed based on their specific requirements. The junior analyst trying to help them couldn't even find the right database. By noon, someone in audit had stumbled across a compliance report I'd written the year before. Detailed documentation of employee misclassification. Issues minus dozens of full minus time workers labeled as contractors to dodge benefits expenses. The kind of thing that keeps employment lawyers awake at night, dreaming of class action suits and government investigations. The report had been comprehensive. Names, dates, pay stubs, email evidence of managers instructing people to work full minus time hours while maintaining contractor status. Kevin had reviewed it, marked it no action required, and buried it in digital filing cabinets where he probably thought it would never see daylight again. Now it was sitting on the general counsel's desk with a sticky note that probably said something like potential liability $50 million plus penalties. The kind of document that makes board members start updating their resumes. Brian called me Thursday evening, voice barely containing his amusement. They're in full panic mode. Board called an emergency session. Kevin's been reassigned 2 special projects, minus corporate speak for clearing out his desk while we figure out how to fire him without getting sued. What kind of settlement offers are we seeing? They started at $75,000 plus standard severance. I laughed so hard I think I pulled something. Counter? Full payout as per the contract. No negotiations. They triggered the clause. They pay the price. Simple as that. Friday brought more chaos. The vendor payment system crashed completely when someone tried to manually override the expired tokens. 3 client accounts went into technical default because their quarterly documentation packages weren't delivered on schedule. The junior staff Kevin had promoted to handle my responsibilities, word rounding and technical requirements they didn't understand. Rebecca from project management sent me a desperate text. Jason, I know you can't help officially, but do you remember the vendor reset procedure for the Johnson account? We're about to lose them. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But this was what Kevin wanted minus younger, cheaper, more adaptable workforce. Time for them to adapt. The final settlement came through on a Wednesday morning, exactly 1 week after Kevin had slid that termination letter across the conference room table. Ryan Foster called personally this time, voice stripped of all corporate bravado, sounding like a man who'd spent the week explaining to very angry board members how they'd accidentally triggered the most expensive severance payout in company history. Jason, we're prepared to offer a comprehensive settlement package, he said, reading from what was obviously a script prepared by legal. Full equity acceleration as per your original contract. No disputes on valuation methodology. And no NDA requirements. Clean separation. Plus We'd like to discuss a consulting arrangement to help with the transition period. I almost laughed. A week ago they'd show me the door like yesterday's trash. Now they wanted to hire me back to fix the mess they created. What kind of consulting arrangement? 6-month contract, $50,000 per month. Flexible schedule. Focus on knowledge transfer and system stabilization. That was more per month than my annual salary as an employee. Funny how quickly they discovered the value of institutional knowledge once it walked out the door. I'll consider it, I said. Send the settlement documents to my attorney. By Monday morning, Kevin was gone. No announcement, no farewell email, just disappeared from the org chart like he'd never existed. His office was cleaned out over the weekend, probably by the same security team that had escorted other optimized employees to the parking lot. Word through the grapevine was he'd been given the choice between resigning with a reference or being terminated for gross negligence in handling personnel decisions. They brought in a replacement from outside the company minus someone with actual HR experience, instead of just consulting theory and an MBA. First thing she did was audit all recent terminations, unrecommend reinstating 2 of the senior people Kevin had pushed out. Turns out dismissing experienced employees without reading their contracts wasn't just expensive in my case. I was fielding calls from headhunters like a minor celebrity. Word had gotten out in industry circles about the guy who turned a wrongful termination into a $10.20 million payday. 3 competitors offered me executive positions with salary packages that would have made Kevin weep. A consulting firm wanted to hire me to audit other companies for similar contract vulnerabilities. But the most satisfying call came from Drew Patterson, the CEO. Guy who'd probably signed off on Kevin's workforce optimization without reading the details. Now he was personally reaching out to explore opportunities for continued collaboration. Jason, I want to be direct with you. He said during our lunch meeting, we made mistakes. Kevin made mistakes. I made mistakes by not providing better oversight. We'd like you to consider returning in a senior advisory role. I let him lay out his pitch. Vice President of Strategic Operations, substantial salary increase, equity package that would invest all at once, seat on the executive committee. Real power instead of just responsibility. The consulting arrangement is working well, I said. I'm fixing your vendor relationships, stabilizing your client accounts, training your junior staff on systems they should have learned years ago. Why change that? Because we need institutional memory. Kevin's efficiency metrics looked good on paper, but he didn't account for knowledge transfer costs. We're realizing that experience has value that's hard to quantify. Smart man. Only took a $10 million education for him to figure out what some of us had been saying for years. I agreed to extend the consulting contract for another 6 months, with an option to convert to permanent employment if both sides were satisfied. Better than being an employee with a target on my back, more flexibility than a traditional executive role. The best part was watching the cultural shift. The new HR director implemented policies requiring board minus level approval for any termination above senior manager level. All employment contracts now required legal review before execution. They even created an institutional knowledge retention program minus fancy name for not firing people without understanding what they actually do. 3 months into my consulting arrangement, I was making more money than I'd ever imagined, working fewer hours than I had as an employee, and getting the kind of respect that should have been mine all along. Client meetings where people actually listened when I spoke. Vendor negotiations where my recommendations carried weight. System implementations where my experience was valued instead of dismissed. Kevin, from what I heard through mutual connections, was having a harder transition. His LinkedIn profile described him as seeking new opportunities in transformational leadership. Translation: unemployed and trying to explain to potential employers why his last position ended so badly. Turns out most companies do reference checks on C- level hires, and word travels fast in corporate circles. The final vindication came when the board asked me to present at their quarterly meeting about operational resilience and knowledge management best practices. Me, the guy Kevin had called outdated legacy workforce, explaining to the board how to avoid future disasters like the one his firing had triggered. I kept the presentation simple. Hire good people, treat them with respect, read the contracts you sign, and remember that the most expensive employee is the one whose departure costs you millions. They offered me a permanent board advisory position after that presentation. Not bad for a guy who was supposedly ready for the corporate junk heap. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad or getting even. Sometimes it's just being prepared and letting other people's arrogance hang them with their own rope. Kevin handed me the noose when he fired me without reading my contract. I just held it steady while he did the rest. 6 months later, I'm still consulting 3 days a week, making more money than most executives, and finally getting the professional respect I spent 2 decades earning. And Kevin, last I heard, he was working for a mid-sized company in Cleveland, probably telling his new boss about all the innovative workforce optimization strategies he learned at his previous position. Funny how things work out when patience meets opportunity and preparation meets luck. The most dangerous employee isn't the one who complains loudly it's the one who reads everything carefully and prepares quietly for the day when corporate arrogance finally overplays its hand. In business, like in war, the battles are won by those who understand that real power comes not from making noise, but from knowing exactly where the other side's weaknesses are buried and having the patience to wait for the perfect moment to expose them.